Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back with another Sister Wives Season 13 review. They've struggled and struggled to make this thing called Vegas work. So they quit their jobs, they uprooted their kids, they move without allowing the children to say goodbye to their friends and some of their family. They go from being in one house to knowing that the family will be separate, and they force the kids to deal with it. On top of that, they live apart for about 2 years, with Mary's home being the furthest distance away, which is a little over a mile from the others. And they complain about how much of a strain that 1 mile put on the family. They find an area in Vegas and they think, let's build houses in a cul-de-sac. So they get these custom built homes, each done to the specifications of the wife. Now they have a wonderful situation that being on this show very much so helped provide them. They finally move into the houses. They do these commitment ceremonies. They plant trees. They finally establish roots. We see them put their hands in concrete with initials and names and things of that nature. And yet with all that this family has gone through, they've decided to give it all up and move yet again and put themselves in an even worse financial situation than they were in before, which makes no sense to me. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we begin the review. So 2 weeks ago, Cody did his presentation to the wives about moving out of Vegas. And all of a sudden, he's now leaning towards this place that he calls Prescott, Arizona. But the wives and them are looking at it and they're like, okay, that's desert. Why would we move to another desert? So since then, Cody tells us that he has been looking at real estate and checking prices to show his wives a better area, right? So he's there and he's like, you know what? I'm going to show my wives something better. So he's realizing that his wives want to move somewhere that's pretty, but he wants somewhere that's affordable. Understand, this is storyline because they could have done both, right? But because they love to spring into action and don't take the time to properly plan and navigate and allow Cody to put them into this situation, they're just going to go with whatever he's saying, okay? So he goes to Mary's, which we don't often see him at, as she's putting up a light bulb. He doesn't even offer to help her. Instead, what he does is he takes his phone and hands it to her to show her some trees that are located in Flagstaff, Arizona. He says it's high. So if you know right then and there that it's high, why even think about moving out there? Why? So at this point, he hasn't got a yes, but he's still actively making sure that they have this move. Christine and Janelle still aren't feeling it. One thing all the wives can agree on is that if they don't move soon, then it won't be another 5 years until they're willing to leave, because they do not want to move any children while they're in their senior year. Now take this. I said Christine and Janelle aren't initially feeling it, and I'm saying that because they're the most vocal. But later on, we learned that Mary's not feeling it either. So Cody tells Mary that the hard thing is to find something that works, but there's nothing that's perfect. You know, maybe perfect for one home, but not perfect for what they have to do. So he says the one home would be good financially, but, you know, I get it. They need their own space. And Janelle says it too. Janelle also agrees that it would be good, but they need their own space. So we find out that Leon and Audrey are coming home for the summer, and the plan is for them to stay at Mary's house. Now, Cody doesn't like this idea. He says, why can't one stay here and one stay at Christine's? He feels like they should be in separate houses. It's okay for Cody to have a standard. He claims he wouldn't ever let his other kids bring home their significant others and to share a bedroom before marriage. And I get it, but I think those values conveniently went out the way when it came to him and the bird. I remember that he was going to the Birds for the weekend and bringing the kids. He made no mention of him staying in a hotel. Matter of fact, when he came to her house, he seemed extremely comfortable and familiar with it, like he'd been all throughout it, even though at this point they were just dating. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make, or courting. It doesn't make sense, okay? And I'm hearing him talking. I'm like, you know what? I can see why, as a parent, if you have certain religious beliefs, that you would have a problem with your kids coming home with their significant other. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I remember when I was in my final year of college and I came home with my significant other and I was very much so pregnant. And guess what happened? We had to sleep in separate rooms, to the point at first my mom was like, he needs to stay in a hotel. And then later she was like, no, y'all can just sleep in separate rooms. She was not having it, even though there was clear evidence, because I had a baby in my belly, that we were doing other things. To this day, my mother still believes in this. My mother still feels like you should not cohabitate if you are not married. So even at my big age of 39, when we go to my mom's, if we plan on staying there, we're gonna have to separate. And I get it. And to be honest with you, because of how I was raised, I remember going to my significant other's house and we were put in the same room and I was looking at him like, wait a second, we're sleeping in here together? He's like, yeah, we're grown, we're sleeping in here together. It was weird to me because that's not how I was brought up. So respect your parents' rules, whatever they are. In this case, Mary's like, it's not that big of a deal. We have 2 rooms. There's no reason for Audrey or Leon to go stay at Christine's when her house is already full. What I did was I suggested that they stayed in different rooms. And Cody says, no, there is no suggestion for this. So Cody was allowed to do what he wanted to do, but he has a problem with Leon and Audrey doing what they want to do. I get it. He says, being gay is biology, but living together is a values thing. And right now, with all of that going on and with them coming to stay, his main concern is finding a place to move. He says the main reason he wants to leave is because he does not want to retire there. He's a country boy from a country town, and this isn't where he wants to spend out the remainder of his life. It's a city. He doesn't want to be in a city. I don't know how to tell Cody this, but with the amount of wives that he has and the amount of children that he has, he should have understood that retirement would be nowhere around the corner, especially if he didn't have this show, because you have other children that you claim that you're going to have to put through college. And as you like to remind us, Ariella is only 2. So Cody is like, I'm still trying to figure out the move. Janelle says that sees that he's at a point where he's not backing down. So she's realized now that after only 2 weeks that they're moving. The Bird says that the next place has to be awesome. She says this like her and Cody have not already conspired and don't know the next place that they're going. Because I very much so believe what we've all said in the comments, which is they moved here because of Robin and Dayton. Right? Meanwhile, Mary is just excited to be included in the conversation and she's listening to Cody. So he's talking about how everyone isn't on board, but even, and if everyone isn't on board, then they can't do this. He's like, some people just aren't on board. But at that point, the Feathered crew was the ones that were definitely on board. So some people aren't. And he says, he's talking to women who don't want to move. Yet in the next breath, he's like, we have 4 months and everybody wants to keep passing the buck, but we're going to do this. So you already know what you're going to do. So why are you even having this discussion to halfway make these women feel like they have a say? He then says, the questions that Mary is asking me, because Mary wants to know where everyone else stands, because Mary understands that no matter what she wants, she's going to have to go with the family, especially in the state that she's in with the family. She's trying to figure out what he's doing. But he says Mary's questions are patronizing. I don't understand how. So on a daily basis, he's bringing up the situation to these women, nagging them basically until they comply. He says, get on board, because if you don't, you're going to be forced to do it and you're going to be bitter about that later on. Once again, letting us know that these women do not have a choice. Mary says, Get the moms on board that have school-age kids. And then if they need me to be on their side, then I'll be on their side. And she's laughing and stuff. And he's talking about how, you're saying that, but I really got a lot going on. And all I do in my spare time is look at houses. And she's like, oh, it must be nice that you have spare time. And he's like, okay, that's my cue to go. Yeah, it is your cue to go, because you're blowing smoke up Mary. And Mary I don't know if Mary sees it or not. Okay. This is probably the most that Mary has seen him in a long time. So Mary's just happy to have this time. We see Aspen and Mitch practicing. They're doing some dancing. Aspen says that she doesn't have a lot of rhythm and wants to make sure that they look good for their first dance. She feels like she could use some help. So they take dance lessons from someone at Mitch's church. They practice dancing to their wedding song, which is going to be Dream a Little Dream. Aspen talks about the significance of it and how after they proposed and they went out to eat that the song was playing and they both liked it. So they're going to dance. It's a cute song. Not anything that I would pick, but they like it. The wives, of course, talk about whether they had a first dance or not. We don't really care. Let's get to the meat. So Mary and Christine talk. We are reminded of the conversation that Mary and Christine had after Axel was born. So at this point, it's been months, but now they're going to talk about this conversation and continue it. This is part of the family's problem. They have this way of talking in circles and dragging things out and not ever really dealing with the situation. They just table it and then come back to it, table it and then come back to it. So Mary feels like the conversation was a start to trying to improve things. She says to us in the early years, they had a good relationship. And there was a time where things went south. I want them to tell us exactly what happened with the two of them and stop talking about it. The book says that they had a falling out about how Mary was disciplining the kids. So let's talk about that rather than this. Christine says that during her conversation with Mary, she felt like she did come off as too aggressive. And I wouldn't say she was aggressive. I would say that she was blunt. I feel like there are times where the family has a tendency, my nose is really itching inside, where the family really has a tendency to use words that sometimes don't describe the situation. It's not applying to what's going on. You, yes, were brutally honest. And she says she wasn't trying to be brutally honest. Mary says, I realize now that you're coming from a place of wanting to heal and helping me with stuff. And I just rather you had said it in private. In other words, why did you say this to me on the show? Mary says she didn't feel safe in that moment. Mary did not want her crap put out there because Christine didn't say anything to me that was that bad that Mary should have felt unsafe. But they love to use certain words, and unsafe is what she felt. No, you were upset because she was pointing out some of the stuff that you did. Christine says that there are times when you are just raw. And, I'm sorry for how I came off in that rawness. That's not what I wanted to do. And I just feel like I'm not walking on eggshells for the people in my life that are supposed to be dear to me. We're sister wives, supposedly. I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells with you. I should be able to tell you whatever it is that I feel, and we should just deal with it. But to sit here and mince words, because if I tell you about yourself, then it's not safe. It just continues to be a problem. That keep sweet thing has really messed up this family. So Cody says, Mary and Christine used to be really close, but now they're having a lot of trust issues. Trust issues that aren't like the normal things like, oh, you'll steal from me, but they're trust issues like, can I trust you with my vulnerability? Here's part of the problem. Mary says that the distance started when the kids got older. They used to have so much fun. They were friends for a long time, right? Then Christine says, back in Utah, yeah, we were. There are things that she is not saying with that statement. She says, after Truly was born, I was cut off of everything and I just focused on being a mom. Keep in mind, Christine had postpartum during this period. Now, they weren't quick to call it that, but that's what it was. Christine also had suffered previously a miscarriage. Christine also dealt with the fact that while she was pregnant and scared, her husband was leaving her to go see another woman. It's not like I go to Janelle, according to Christine, and Robin and tell them about everything. I don't hang out with them or just go over there just to go over there. This goes back to Cody saying that these women weren't close. He wasn't lying in that. The conversation shows it, but both Christine and Janelle have admitted that, yeah, there were times where they had some issues. I think it was in part because of Cody, because he was going back and saying things to different wives. They admitted that when they first moved to Flagstaff, because they weren't intentional about getting together, because how far they were apart, they did form more of a sisterhood. Christine still feels like Mary is heavy and bringing a lot of baggage with her, but they both have baggage. Let's go back in time. Y'all follow me here because I went on a little bit of a thing. In their book, Mary openly admits that she brought Robin to Cody's attention, basically gave him permission to start seeing her, right? Without even having a conversation with his two other wives. We know that's a big no-no. So after 16 years of it just being the OG 3 wives, Mary and Cody decide that they're going to do this. Mary even says it was her and Cody's little secret. But was it? Mary thought that this would improve her already failing relationship with him. And what it did was it backfired on her in the end, because unlike his situation with some of his other wives, Cody actually loves this woman, right? I think that at some point he loved Janelle too. I don't think he ever loved Mary or Christine. Christine was never on board with another wife. She said that she liked things exactly the way that they were. And she said it on more than one occasion, which makes complete sense because it had been 16 years. Why add another person? Especially because they were already struggling, living from paycheck to paycheck. And then we're going to add this other woman who finds out that we're doing a show. And now conveniently, she's dating you. Meanwhile, we've been struggling. This bird, that bird, lie brows, goblin, sobbum, Nike check, whatever we call her, was emotionally devastating to Christine. The addition of her devastated Christine. Given the way that their faith is set up and their faith is supposed to work, I'd never trust Mary or Cody again. What Mary did was totally wrong. She should have approached Christine and Janelle and about Robin before she ever allowed anything to transpire with Cody and Robin, and she did not do that. Now, let's be clear. I do believe that Robin was plotting on Cody and Cody was plotting on Robin without the assistance of Mary, but they've allowed Mary to think that she had something to do with this whole situation. Mary betrayed her sister wives' dynamics, and so did Cody. They had no respect for the other women. They had no respect for their family. And they didn't value the other women's opinions or feelings, especially not Christine's, because she was the most vocal about not wanting it. She was the one who saw certain things and begged Cody not to see Robin. We saw her pregnant saying, "Don't go, please stay." And I don't think that Christine ever got over this. And I feel like some of that resentment, because it's easier to place it on her than it is her husband, was placed on Mary. Y'all correct me. Tell me what you feel down below. I feel like what Christine did was what she was taught, which was, let's keep sweet, right? Let's not really address the issue. So Cody betrayed her. He manages, though, to disguise it by saying that he had a testimony, using the guise of their religion against them, which is why later in Flagstaff, Christine says, "I can't trust Cody." It's not just because of the situation with 1 minute him saying Utah and another minute him acting like he didn't say it. It's because of all the things that has transpired over the years to get them to this point. Then on top of that, add the catfish situation with Mary. That was the end to me of any possible real friendship between these two ladies. So at this point, I'm tired of them saying things, but not saying things, because that's the meat and potatoes that I'm getting. Y'all tell me what you think. So Christine says her relationship with all of the family was damaged. Mary then says, I need to apologize to you because I did a disservice to you. There was a time, and we get a flashback from January 2012, when you were struggling with Cody, and I basically told you that you needed to work on you. So I'm apologizing for making you feel like you were alone. So Christine's like, wait, so back then you were having problems too? And she says, yes, back then I was having problems with Cody too, which I could have told you. Instead, I kept it to myself and it made you feel alone. This is what I'm saying about these people. They are on a show and there's a show within the show. Because even the situation with production, I think production is privy to certain things like the catfish that they didn't put out there. And I think that production doesn't know certain things. This here, though, we saw that there was the writing on the wall, that there were some issues. So Christine says the sister-wife dynamic is tricky because you have to navigate a friendship with these women who are also with your husband. Mary says, I need you to look at me and see that when you say I enter a room and I'm upset, that I'm not upset. I'm not mad all the time. I have a lot going on in my mind, but I'm not mad. I just have RBF, which is rest in B face. I get it. Sometimes I have it too. So I completely got I completely got what Mary was saying. When I'm not smiling, a lot of times when I'm at work, if I'm just walking down the hallway, somebody be like, are you okay? What's wrong? I'm fine. This is just my face. It's just my face. It's the face that I've been given. I make an effort to make sure that sometimes when I'm in certain areas, I may smile a little bit more. I may try to brighten up my eyes just because I know how I appear. And I feel like, yeah, maybe she could work on it a little bit, but she shouldn't have to fake it to make it. Okay. So she wants things to be good. She wants a good relationship with the entire family. And she feels like she's the common denominator because she's working on things with Janelle. And now she's working on things with Christine and she's working on things with Cody. She's trying to fix her and it's caused her more problems. And Christine says she remembers this feeling too, when she felt like, she was having problems. And the only way to get up is to go to the bottom. And at the time, Mary is at the bottom. I just don't get it. I feel like this is just too much. Mary says she feels like she's on the outside and Christine says, yeah, you are. And I was like, damn. I said, dang, Christine, you're just gonna be like, yeah, you're on the outside. That's you. You're on the out. We're on the in. She says, yeah, you are. You're just looking in. You guys, when I say I even have in my notes, I spit my water out, which I did because I was laughing. Christine says she has to let people in. She says, when I was on the outside of the family, things were terrible. It's hard to watch everybody else having healthy, good relationships, but I had to fix myself and become someone that was lovable. So she had to suppress herself and be what it was that her husband wanted. She said, just decide to be that. Decide to be a wife, decide to be a sister wife, decide to be kind. It's just that simple, but it's not that simple. And it wasn't that simple for Christine because we saw her struggle for multiple seasons. And even in that statement, Christine was lying to Mary and she was lying to herself. And we know this for a fact now because she and her kids have gone back and said that there was more to it, that Christine wasn't happy since Vegas. So Leon and Audrey finally in town. The family comes over for the announcement. Christine says, I'm going to say what we're all hoping and thinking, which is that they're getting married. So Cody says, have they even known each other long enough? And I'm like, okay, Cody, this is where sometimes I side eye you. And I wonder if you're saying what you're saying because you legitimately feel this way, or if you're saying what you're saying because of the fact that they're a same-sex couple. Because they've known each other for a year, which is more time at this point than Aspen has really gotten to know her spouse, than Maddie really knew hers. Yeah, you might have seen each other, but just because you see someone doesn't mean you know them, right? So you're here questioning if they've known each other long enough. It's been over a year. Mary says they've been dating for over a year. Cody says, I have one concern about them getting married, and it's that, Audrey is the first person that Leon dated. And I'm like, okay, that you know of, because a lot of your kids have dated people that you never met. I know I've dated people that my mom hasn't met. My current situation, my mom has not met him, nor has my father. And it may sound crazy, but I'm of the firm belief, especially at my age, that I'm not introducing you to anyone that I am not getting married to. There's no need to. There's none. Have they spoken? Yeah, they talked, but there's just no need for that. You have to be careful who you allow to be around your parents. Now, my brothers, totally different situation with my brothers. My brothers would not waste any time. I've seen so many girls come in and out to the point where I was like, don't introduce me to no more females, because I'm not going to sit there and act like, oh yeah, he talks so much about you. Yeah, he talks about you and about her and about her and her. Now it's a different situation. My brother is very much so settled down with his girlfriend, all that good stuff. But I'm saying, growing up, I saw the ins and outs of different girlfriends with my brothers. There's no point, right? My sister and I move very differently. We're not going to introduce you to all these different people. It's just not a thing. So Mary says, you do know that you're kind of the first person I dated. Not the greatest example to give, given their current state, but Christine says, you're the first person I dated. So he takes it back and then says, okay, they're a match made in heaven. I'm gonna be quiet. They talk about Axel and how great he is, and McKelty is holding him, and Christine lets us know how badly McKelty wants a baby, but Tony is saying, no, we need to stick to our plan. We see that Leon has called their dad. He's conveniently on a birthday trip in Flagstaff, Arizona with the Bird, Aurora, and Brianna. So convenient. For them to continue to play out their plan and to scope out where they're going to be moving, they're bringing the girls, because they already knew that they were moving to Flagstaff. By they, I mean the Feathered crew. Because where's Dayton? Robin says they're struggling with the move, so we thought it would be a great idea to drive to Flagstaff and sort of let them look at it. Why drive there if you didn't know if that's where you were going to be? It's because they knew. Cody said, show them a good time and maybe they'll fall in love, is kind of our explanation. But I'm sitting here like, okay, you're going to show all the wives and the kids a good time. Well, some of the kids. And I can't believe they fell for this. So Leon says, after the summer, we're going to be moving to Chicago, where I can get my master's in social work and in social justice. Janelle is immediately excited, ready to visit. All the moms seem to be happy and state that they're proud of Leon. And Cody adds that he's just happy that Leon is in a happy, healthy relationship. So we see Cody as he's working on Christine. Cody is working on the next victim. So he decides that he's going to take Christine on a birthday and anniversary trip to Flagstaff. Like, why are we combining these two things? Because it's something he wouldn't have done if it hadn't been for them wanting to move. He later even tells us this is a trick he played. It's going to be a win for him. This is a win for him because Christine enjoys traveling with him. He is so cunning. He's laying it on thick, even slapping her on the butt as she bends over to look for her gloves because it's going to be cold. He says, I'm more familiar with Flagstaff because I've been a couple of times and I brought Robin and Aurora to check it out, which makes me feel like he didn't bring Dayton because at the time, Dayton probably already checked it out. The bird can sit there and tell me how much her child struggles with adjustment and things of that nature. But you want me to believe that Dayton applied to a school that you did not bring him to and allow him to tour the campus, knowing that he struggles with adjustment. Yeah, right. Makes no sense. So they meet a realtor while they're there to check out the properties. He's very manipulative. He feels like Arizona is a fairly conservative state and he likes the values, but they want conservative state because they're conservative family, and they also want a liberal area that's going to accept them. You want a whole bunch. So they head there, talk about everyone's reluctance. The bird says, we aren't telling the kids and having conversations until we know we're moving. So if that's the case, why did Brianna and Aurora go? You very much much so we're having conversations. Christine then says, I've talked to my kids, Janelle does too, and had certain conversations with them because I do not want them to be blindsided. I was even surprised with Gwen. Gwen took it better than I thought she would. She was more so worried about the fact that she was going to be leaving her friends. They bring up the shooting that happened in Vegas and how now Christine worries because she can't provide safety, and the kids were all supposed to go to this concert where the shooting happened, and as a result, it's now put some fear in her. Shootings happen everywhere, but I get what she's saying. If it can happen at a church, please believe there's a possibility that could happen at your children's school. That is one of the reasons why I constantly, because I am a believer, pray over my child, tell him certain things to make sure if something does happen, he knows what to do in the event of an emergency. We have to have these talks and conversations with our children because it's very real out there. Okay, no matter where they are, you can be in what you deem is the safest of places and something happens. So Cody says, I want to get out of here as fast as I can. Looking at Flagstaff is not what I was promoting because it's a lot more expensive than, the presentation that I gave the wives. He says, I paid less for these large homes in Vegas when in Flagstaff, I'm going to have these tiny homes that cost significantly more. Then why would you look there? He says, I'm not telling them that yet, though. We need to just go. Consequences be damned. It's like I'm selling without full disclosure, and I don't want to talk about it. He tricked these women to get them out of the homes that they owned or had mortgages on to put them in a position where now they're going to be financially strapped again. What are they drinking? I mean, what is in the water? It's cold, it's overpriced, there's less property, but yeah, let's go ahead and go here, right? Janelle heads to Maddie's house because she wants to discuss this move again. It's been 5 weeks at this point, and now she's telling us that she's had a change of heart. She admits that at first she was adamantly against it because she didn't feel like it was a good move. And now she's been thinking about it, and she doesn't really like the weather in Vegas, and Flagstaff is more appealing to her, and Savannah wanted to be raised with trees and pine cones and stuff like that. So she's, more on board with the move. Janelle really disappointed me in this conversation with Gabe. I know he eventually adjusted and he likes Flagstaff, but she still disappointed me. I noticed that Garrison was there too. Rest in peace, hon. Garrison was there too, and he really wasn't saying that he was against it. He was just trying to hear his brother out. I personally feel like after what Hunter went through, even Logan at one point, I feel like doing this to another kid seems kind of harsh. Gabe says the idea of this hits him harder and he hates it. That Janelle says she never could imagine that they could live somewhere like Flagstaff. So the thought of it is really happy to her. I feel like Janelle talks about the picturesqueness of it all, how beautiful it is. But I feel like Janelle realized that it was pricey too. And that also had to do with why she didn't think they could live there, as well as the wives. Her sell to him is he can do a lot more outdoor things. And he's like, okay, you telling me that I can do a lot of outdoor things is basically like my mom saying, she can cut off my leg. Here, okay, I could do a lot of outdoor things there, but here I have established myself. I have a wrestling spot now on the varsity team. I have a girlfriend, which may seem very trivial, but I will never forget how I felt when I was around his age and I had to leave my boyfriend, New York, a good portion of my family to move to a place where none of my family is at. Like, let me be clear. I don't have a lot of family out here, right? So it was like, what am I moving out here for? And young love really does seem intense. So Janelle says for the first time, they all like a place. But if they move, it's going to be kind of hard because the downside is she's going to be away from some of the kids and Axel, that she's enjoyed having Axel a block away. Gabe doesn't want to go. He just lettered he's on track to being a captain on the team, he feels like he's losing his second family. And if you've ever been a part of a sport, because I know how it was with dance school and all that other stuff and my competitions and stuff, you really do get connected in a way that you can't explain. There is a camaraderie there. So I completely understood what he was saying when he said he was leaving his second family. I feel like it's that way with like sororities. Like, you notice that some line sisters and line brothers are extremely united. Like, I have friends that are in sororities that they're just as close with the people that they pledge with as they are with us that they've known from day one when we got to college. So there's something there, okay? He says this is just not beneficial to him. He wishes his parents saw how much work that he put in and that they actually appreciated it, but they're taking it all away. I feel for him in this because the whole time he's talking in confessional, he pauses and stops as a way to prevent himself from crying. They all excelled at various points in the move to Flagstaff, but this move did eventually destroy the family. So back in Flagstaff, Christine is being showed homes that are, in her words, so Robin, it's ridiculous. He says in front of Christine, no matter where we live, we need to have 4 lots. But he admits to us it's his dream to be in one home. But he can't tell the ladies that right now because he needs to build on the one home thing. And he's going to make sure he does it after they move to make the sale. They walk into the first house and I can immediately see the difference in the size of what they have now versus what they're looking at. And then Cody says they're basically cutting the size in half. And he has 2 wives that like their things and won't want to downsize. That is Mary and that is Robin. Christine ends up liking it. Then they drive 30 minutes to another side of town where it's extremely windy. Next is going to be the beloved Coyote Pass. And as of 2024, we still know that they've done nothing with it. So Robin calls Mary over to sell her on Flagstaff. And she's just getting back from Chicago. And she said she loves it. And she wishes that they could, move there. Mary talks about how she's been to a lot of places. And her job that she has affords that opportunity for her. So Robin tries to make us believe that Flagstaff and the idea of it came because they looked at a map and saw what was close to Utah. You're lying. I don't believe it. Mary says she can tell how Robin is feeling about it, but Robin is just trying to stay mellow. We find out Aurora and Brianna loves it. Aurora said she was having anxiety and tears because I just didn't really want to go. Why is Aurora saying that she had anxiety and tears and she didn't really want to go if all they were doing was going on a trip? It's because they knew they were moving there. Robin tries to compose herself. She talks about this piece of land that was very special. And, she just really saw the family right there, but tells us that Mary needs to go look at it for herself. So why then, when Cody was at that property that was really windy, did he try to fake it, which he later admits to seeing it already, that he tries to fake it and act like, oh, does the other property that we're going to look at have trees? Cody, why do you do this? Okay, you're speaking on this like you don't know. You've already seen it. Robin says she's seen it, and then later on you tell us you see it. This is the type of manipulative stuff that he does. So Aurora and Brianna say it's pretty, but they saw the trees and their mind change. Mary said she could tell that the kids and Robin are feeling it. The bird then tries to say that Cody's not trying to force this unless they all want it. All of the wives knew that they needed to get in line, fall in line with the Feather Crew or else. Mary says this move is just starting over and my way would be for us to just stay in Vegas. So Mary didn't want to move, but she did it because it was what the family decided, and she's trying to get back on Cody's good side in his good graces by staying united. Cody's happiness comes before everyone else's, even the kids. This was so unnecessary and it destroyed the family. Mary reminds us that they were in rentals for 2 years before they got in the cul-de-sac. The thought of this is overwhelming, and not Mary. Robin says the thought of this overwhelms her at night and it makes her panicky. And, she panics at night. And the home that she bought was such a big deal because this is the first home that she bought. This was the first home that the wives bought because the wives paid off your debts. The wives are what got you on this show. The wives probably even helped with the down payment of the first home that you got. But you and Cody aren't going to tell us that, because Janelle's money did a lot for this family with this move to Vegas, and you didn't openly say that. So back in Flagstaff, Christine and Cody are still looking at things. They look at a third home that Christine thinks would be more affordable, but she's wrong. Cody says, we're going to get a smaller home for a lot more money. We're cutting off more than 1,000 square feet of our home, and we're going to be paying more. He then admits to us that I haven't told Christine yet, but the last place that we're looking at, I already looked at it with Robin. Cody is a good liar, because earlier he asked if there was trees, as I said, and he knew there was. Christine loves the pine trees. We find out the acres of this place. We have 2, 2, 4, and 5. They did not look into this at all. They did not see why this space was available. They did not make sure that they could build on it. They did not make sure they could build what they wanted to build on it. They did not know that if they were going to go here, that they were really going to even have to start at, the bottom, even lower than they did when they were in Vegas. And here's my thing. Did you all even check to see what it would cost to build one home, let alone 4? They talk about this pond that really is just a dirt hole, if you ask me. He then says, do you like it? She says, yes. He says, great. Robin liked it too. And I said, okay, there you have it. The only person left, because he says, that's 3, is back to Mary. Christine says, Mary loves Vegas so much, since she's the only one that I'm not sure about. This is why I feel like there's a lot more to this story. He at first said this was the best time for them to move because of the market, because of the real estate situation in Vegas, that they would stand to make a lot of money, right? Now he's sitting here telling us that he knows that with this move, they're not going to stand to make a lot of money, that there's a lot of unknowns. And a lot of those knowns to me include the possibility of screwing up their financial situation, the possibility of jacking up these kids, the possibility of damaging their future, the possibility of damaging your family, all which have happened. And for what? Because the bird wanted to move. Because that's what it all comes down to. This stuff isn't right. I don't like it. Don't try to sit here and trick me and act like it's something that it's not when you know what it is. Be honest with me, okay? Tell me the truth. But that's not what Cody's accustomed to doing. Cody is accustomed to manipulating people and getting his way, and he'll do so in whatever way he needs to. And in this instance, it was lying to his wives, knowing that he was screwing them over. That's exactly what he's doing. Some people may be offended by what I'm saying, but I'm going to call it like I see it. The way that I see it is that Cody knew that this situation was going to jack them up in more ways than one. But Cody got tired of being watched by the wives. Cody got tired of being in the cul-de-sac of broken dreams. Cody got tired of having to be monitored for them to know, yeah, he's coming to these 3 houses, but he's not going to Mary's. Oh, wait, now he's only coming to 2. Cody also, to me, didn't like the fact, y'all, sorry, I closed my screen. This is what happens when I close my screen. Cody did not like the fact that these wives were so independent. They got a level of independence that he could not quite handle. And as a result, he had to pull the rug from under them and make sure that they weren't too financially stable without him. But you all, tell me what you think. Until next time.